What was the creepiest thing that ever happened to you when you were at home? End of the semester, my junior year in college, I lived in a three-story townhouse where the first story was just a carport and you'd take stairs around the back to get to the front door. Anyway, by this time in the year, most of the students had left the college town except for the ones that had finals on the last day of finals. Example, me and my roommate. So we had been studying till about 3 in the morning and we both ended up knocking out on these couches we had on the main floor by the front door. At around 4:30 a.m., I think, I heard my roommate get up and lock the door. That woke me up and in a half asleep state I asked him, "Why are you locking the door?" He responded that someone just opened the door and closed it. I was too tired to care and attributed it to him, sleepwalking and laid my head back down and closed my eyes. Not 30 seconds later, I hear the front door start to rattle and see the knob turning. I look at my roommate and we both stayed silent and still. I grabbed a knife I had on the coffee table and just waited frozen still. Eventually it stopped after what felt like 30 minutes, but was probably 30 seconds, and we heard a truck start and drive away. When we woke up the next day, we saw cops' cars outside, and apparently, like 7 out of 10 houses in my community had been broken into and robbed. I was maybe 10 years old, and my mom had nipped out to the shop to get a few bits, so I was home alone. My uncle lived next door, and we lived on a private road, so it was all very safe. I was watching TV in the lounge, then I hear this large thud from the room above. I remember it being a loud thud, as we had this large chandelier that would shake and jingle if someone above ran across the floor, for example. So I'm 10 years old, looking up at this chandelier that's gently swaying from something upstairs, and I just noped out of the house. Terrified, I locked the front door and sat outside until my mother got back. She just assured me something had probably fallen over. So we both went upstairs to check, and there was nothing out of place. All the windows were closed, and all the doors were locked aside from the front door. And I'd have heard someone come through there. It wasn't next to the lounge. There were a few more unexplained stories from that house, like plugs being removed from sockets behind units no one had moved, doors randomly opening on their own, and things randomly going missing to appear again later. But overall, it was a nice house to grow up in. Looking back, I'm sure there is an explanation, but it's definitely creepy. I was house sitting in my parents' basement by myself a few years back watching Monday Night Football. There was a storm outside, but nothing crazy. All of a sudden, the power goes out and I hear water gushing in their storeroom. I run in with nothing but my phone flashlight, and there's a small waterfall flowing out of the wall around a pipe. I grab a nearby 55-gallon storage tub, thankfully empty, and put it under the flow. When it's about half full, the power kicks back on and the water stops. I dump the water out in there, some pump it, waiting for it to happen again. It wasn't happened in the 4 years since they even had their foundation inspected, and it came back as all good. But it's sure they don't believe that it actually happened. I wonder myself occasionally, to be honest. Woke up in the middle of the night by the sound of happy children laughing in the living room. We didn't have any children. I somehow managed to find the strength to get out of bed and step out into the dark living room. I have read way too many horror books is very afraid of the dark, so I still don't know how I managed. I peeked into the dark room ready to face whatever ghost children that was lurking in there. Turned out that one of our cats had stepped on the remote and started a TV. Ex-girlfriend walked suddenly out of my bedroom down the hall, opened the closet by the door, grabbed a pair of her shoes from the back, said, "I've been looking for this," and left. This was 4 months after I broke up with her. Still not sure how she got into my bedroom, but I changed all the locks and got security system after that. As a child grew up in a mid-rise in Amsterdam, they're kind of old houses with really bad insulation built in the 1930s or so. Above us lived a loner guy with severe schizophrenia, and thanks to the cardboard walls and floors, we could hear him talk to himself and sometimes shout or scream. One day he decided to have something against my parents and openly plotted to murder my dad with himself, and we could hear everything. We called the police, and my dad had a confrontation with a guy on the stairwell connecting our homes. Fortunately, nothing happened, and the guy was arrested and spent a year in a clinic where he got treated for his psychosis. But yeah, hearing all that as a little kid was frightening and confusing. About a year ago, I was heading up to bed from my computer at about 2 a.m. or so. I went up the stairs and into the bathroom. The bathroom in the upstairs had a small window in it, between the toilet and the shower. I provide a drawing soon as I can. The way the bathroom was laid out, when you walked in, you would see out the window. So I walked in and I saw something. It was very tall and skinny, and it was on the roof of the neighbors across the yard. I froze in fear. Then it turned its head 180 degrees like an owl and looked towards my house. I ran out and went straight to bed. As I was trying to sleep, I heard it tapping on my window. It stopped soon after, then I heard a loud bang. After I woke up the next morning, I saw a big stone by the fence. It likely caused the bang. I still have no explanation to what it was and what caused the tapping. I was asleep on my side and I felt a hand move up my arm and my friend whisper in my ear. I immediately woke up because I was home alone, checked the whole house, and was in fact still alone. It felt so real, and I even called my friend to ask them if they had been at my house, and they were in other state on vacation. This still actually happens to me fairly regularly, whether I'm with other people or not. It doesn't freak me out as much as anymore, but it does always wake me up very quickly. I'm fairly confident it's related to hallucinations associated with high pain. I hallucinate when I'm normally awake with high pain as well.